Designed for adventure, the Roam CoPilot allows you to access maps, music, and more while you're on your ride. Whether you use a Samsung Galaxy or the latest iPhone, it offers a universal fit, held in place by a silicone net that stretches 4 times its size. With the most versatile clamp on the market, it's universally compatible with motorcycles, bicycles, or mountain bikes. 360-degree rotation means you can use your phone in both portrait and landscape mode. Hitting rough terrain? Our mount has 6 contact points firmly secured in place using a premium-grade silicone net, ensuring a reliable grip on your device. Safely secured at each corner, you'll face bumpy trails with total confidence. Crafted and constantly improved, the Roam CoPilot is incredibly durable and has kept up with the active lifestyle of over 600,000 customers and counting. Ride with confidence wherever you dare to roam.
Time to get it on. Heads or tails doesn't matter. We lift the game we choose. With the lightning and the thunder, and we refuse to lose. We belong to be out here, proving year after year. Time to get it on. Time to get it on.
What helped you succeed was connecting with the divine, I believe is how you had said that. Helping people find their true selves. So you found your true self and then you're able to connect with the divine. What did that process look like for you?
hmm Yeah, for me, basically, in the beginning, I really wanting to find my passion, and really wanting to also connect to myself. I think I was an accountant and I was in my mind, in my head all of the time. But like the true passion exists in your heart, right? So that's when I actually got into this personal development and really trying to learn how to even connect to myself and even experience the experience, right? And feel the feeling. So for me, I'm really good at going into my head and just trying to evaluate or analyze everything instead of experience the experience in my body. So throughout the journey of self-discovery is all about to really how I can connect to myself and and the most important experience that I have done is like I love going to the beach and really connecting to myself and to the universe. It's just that's how I find my divine. Yeah. But the starting point is more about to going to this training and how I can connect to myself and how I can experience the experience, how I can feel the feeling, right? So that's how it started. Yeah.
That's so interesting. This is really, so I have a very different background. Like a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, they like started young, right? Like my younger brother, he started when he was like 5 or 6, literally selling candy to our neighbors and like selling candy at church. And that's when he started. A lot of people tend to start that way. From what I've seen, a lot of the people I know, I was not at all that way. I didn't even start my own business and start trying things until like a couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. So until like early to mid 20s. And what I've noticed, one of this big shift, and I would love to hear your perspective on this, is the difference or the play that spirituality and that any sort of divine plays in success and finding yourself. And I say that because as an employee, I was an employee for a decade working in different companies, and that was almost frowned upon in most companies and in most atmospheres. is this idea that, oh, you believe in something other than yourself or something outside of yourself, or you have any sort of spiritual belief. Like if it's not physical, it's not real. That was kind of the mentality that I experienced in
Mm,
countless places. But the more entrepreneurial I've gotten and the more involved in this community I've become, the more I start to see, and a lot of people making this connection, that if you want success, if you want to better yourself, then being able to believe in something outside of yourself, other than yourself, how divine, whatever you want to say,
yeah.
there seems to be some important thing there. And you're smiling, so you have something to say. Okay, go right ahead. I'll shut up.
I love this question, 100%. So here's the distinguish that I would tell you about that too.
Mhm.
Like you talk about, you got to believe something bigger than yourself, right?
Mm,
If you're just only believing yourself, I mean, I actually, it's very important. You have to believe in yourself.
come
Seriously,
on, come
number
on.
one. Yeah, and otherwise, if you don't believe in yourself, no, there's no one is gonna
Mm,
believe in you. There's no way you can sell yourself, and
mm,
especially when you're in this entrepreneurial journey. So
mm,
that's the number one. You get to focus on that, to believe in yourself first, and next thing is I would like to say about that is I'm more like I really believe in the God, but I
mhm,
don't believe in any sort of like a religion. Well, although I'm from Mongolia, my background is Buddhist,
mm,
but I don't. I like the God sort of thing, but I don't like they like trying to fit in this, following the rule and things like that. That doesn't really like I don't understand as much. I'm like more like a spiritual person. Like that's where I really find myself, because
mm,
there's so many religions. They're all amazing, right? But they have the rules where you have to follow, and where you have to do the things, which what I believe is I believe there's only one God, and everyone kind of put it in a category, right?
mm,
That's kind of how I look. I think that's
mhm,
seemed to be
mhm,
because like the main source is really the universe, right? The main
mhm,
source is there is one God exists, and we have different categories: Jewish, Buddhist, Christian, and
mhm,
go on, right?
mhm,
So and how I find is it's more like a universe, and that's where I find myself. There is something bigger than myself, and that's is a God. That's the universe. I like to say more like a universe, but the God is kind of the main word for everyone to can
right.
relate.
At least
uh,
here in the West, for sure.
yeah. um so and yeah, and because if you are only like so what's the word I'm looking for? So, and your goal and your mission is also like has to be bigger than yourself,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And otherwise, it's you're more like a kind of a focusing on yourself than anything
mhm,
else, and it's hard to also to achieve things when you're only like kind of believe in yourself. It's more like
mm,
egotistic. That's how I
mhm,
kind of look at it, because if you become in this entrepreneurial journey, becoming a coach in service industry, it's like it's not all about you. You
mm,
have a bigger mission that is so bigger than you, and that's something you want to go after for it, right? And you
mm,
want to make an impact in this world. So you can't just like, oh, it's all about me, and like that doesn't work, and it's more egotistic, and again you're just kind of focusing on yourself, and it's all about you, and where the world isn't all about you at all. So
mm,
that's why it's you have to find something bigger than yourself, and also to believe in that, right?
mm,
So yeah.
that
Did I
makes
answer your question?
yeah, that's such an interesting distinction. And I think you're super right. A lot of people think that, oh, if you're in business, it's you can make your own schedule, right? It's you can do whatever you want. It's all about you. But the reality is, as you know, it is quite the opposite. You are at the mercy of your customers and of your clients. And it's the more of a servant you are, the better your business will be, which is a mindset shift in and of itself. But with this being said, you mentioned like you have to find yourself, right?
Yeah.
What does that look like? What did that look like for you personally?
It looks like to me first I have to connect to myself.
Mm,
I remember myself just 2 years ago. Like I don't even know what I wanted, right? Like just by asking question, and I don't even know how I feel things because like I'm so in my head, um, trying to like again analyze and trying to like figure that out everything in my head, and like trying to control everything even. So
Mm,
where the thing really exists is in your heart. So I started to like kind of asking the question and answering that and feel it, right? And not only asking the question, also like what does that feel like in my body, right? So
that's so
you,
important.
yeah, you have to do that because even in the beginning I'm like, oh, this is how it feels like, even in it's only in my mind, but I don't even know what it feels like in my body. So how you connect to yourself is really asking the question to feel the feeling.
Mm,
So
mhm.
that to me, I mean, I'm more like a left brainer and trying to like analyze and trying to control everything. And like
Same,
literally
same.
I let it go. Like once I
Mm,
understand everything, like that's not gonna serve me in my life. It's and that isn't all. Again, left brain is amazing. There are part where we should really use it for reason, but I think there are parts we really shouldn't use it for. So especially when if you're in this like service industry, it's all about connecting to yourself, and how also that's even how you can connect to someone else too, in their heart, right? You can't be in
mm,
your mind and trying to connect to someone else.
mm,
So, and if you don't know how to connect to someone else, then that means you don't know how to connect to yourself. So you get to
mm.
first, connect to yourself and really, and then you know how to connect and you know how to communicate with someone else.
Ooh,
So
come on. Now we're talking. That is
yeah,
so true. And right now, like, let's be honest, with this is something that I will preach from the mountaintops till the day I die. Social media is ruining the way that we connect with people. I firmly believe this. It's ruining our how do I say this? It is ruining our connection skills. That's a much better way to say that. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's exactly. It's do you find that you experience that with a lot of your clients, that like this new age of technology, amazing, I am staring at a computer 12 hours a day, I get it, it's great, but it also inhibits the way and the us to develop the skills that we need to connect with people. Do you find that
Yeah.
experience as well?
100%, but like I don't like to like negate anything what's already out there. It's already
Mm,
out there. I think there's really a big advantage of it. I think for me, the way I look at it, and a lot of people are awakening, so I'm so grateful. And there are a
mm,
lot of like people are really getting into the social media and just staring at the computer, like you said, right?
yep.
But eventually they're gonna figure that out. you
Hmm.
know,
I hope
eventually
so.
it's not gonna helping them, just to
Mm,
staring at the computer and trying to talk to the computer, right? That's or the internet. Because that was me too. Like
mm,
again, I was in my mind, but I think you have to have like a desire. You desires to find what you really wanted, and then you really go there. Because one thing
come
I
on.
noticed is like people who are in this like social media. I mean,
Mm,
there's a good side of it. It
yeah.
works for a
Yep.
lot of people, and
Oh yeah.
I'm not
We
gonna
wouldn't have connected if it wasn't for social media. 100%. Yeah.
exactly. So, but I think people are like we're like awakening, and we're really smart people,
Mm,
and they kind of figured they. I really believe they can figure that out eventually. That
mhm,
you know that's one way of they can use it, but also there's another way how
mm,
you can really connect to someone like this, right? So
mhm,
you can communicate and you can connect
mm,
to someone else too. So like really don't like to negate anything what's already out there. I mean, I really believe there's always good and bad side for everything what we
mm,
do, because life is 50-50. So
mhm, mhm. Come on. I love how I'm typically the you in this situation. I'm typically the person who's positive, and I came in here railing negatively on social. And you're like, "Hey, now just calm down. You're right, but calm down." I appreciate that. I needed that.
yeah, because it's because for me is I get a lot of clients through social media, right?
Mm,
So
yeah.
I do connect. I mean, we kind of start with like text, a message,
Mm,
and then eventually I get them like on the Zoom call, or they
mhm,
schedule a call with me, and they kind of looking for some support. They're looking for some spiritual help, or they're looking for clarity in their life, and so they kind of like feeling lost in their life, or they just don't know what to do, or they're kind of feeling stuck because they kind of eventually realize that the social media is great, but they are so disconnected from themselves and they don't know how to connect. And they see me, how I'm doing, and they, I kind of want what you have. Let's talk.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You seem very present. So I talk to people all day long. That's my favorite thing that I do. And you are very present in the moment. You're There's something about that. And it's not just about not having distractions, but it's about being present. How is that something that you've just developed over the years? Is that something you've always been inclined towards, or what did that look like?
yeah, that's a good question. I will tell you this: I'm human. I'm not perfect. I think again, like I mentioned earlier, like I used to, like growing up, like I always be in my mind, in my head, all
Mhm.
of the time. So, um, I will say this: I did develop this over the time by doing meditation, right? Reading a
Yeah.
bunch of books about how you can be present.
Come
So
on.
one
Yeah.
of the book that I love and I've read like literally 3 times, it's called Power of Now, right?
Mm.
So I think a lot of us really in their head and in our head. So, and just trying to evaluate everything, trying to analyze everything, trying to control everything, when you really can. Sorry, but that's something you get to first realize, that you can't control anything and everything. You just control only yourself, right? That's something we have to realize, that one another, like sooner or later. And for me is, I realized that, oh my gosh, okay, let me just let it go of this. I literally decided to let it go. But but doesn't mean it's not gonna come back. And when things comes back again, I'm like, in my head and not being present. um I always get back myself, back to center and get grounded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how I do it.
That's fantastic. Do you
But
have
I think,
okay?
I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
you go right
I think
ahead.
the most important thing, like really helped me, is to meditation. Like
That's what I was
when
about
I
to
meditate in the
ask on.
morning, the day really goes different
Mm,
than
yeah.
usual.
There's
Yeah.
something about that too. Not only just the meditation, but meditation in the morning. If you look at this, is going to kind of sound like it's taking in the left field, but I swear I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah.
One of the I am a huge believer in a morning routine. I have a morning routine. I'm a morning person, but that aside, I love morning routines, and I'm a big believer in it for a very particular reason. And it's because when you start your day in a certain direction, it's much more likely that you'll continue in that direction, right? If you the one of the main reason or one of the reasons why working out is incredible and why they say work out first thing in the morning is because after you work out, you're more likely to make healthier food options throughout the day. So if you want to lose weight, let's say, or put on muscle, however it is, then if you work out first thing in the morning, you're more likely to make your other choices healthy as well. Same thing. That's one reason why I love meditation in the morning specifically, is when you make that choice first thing in the day. Not only does it impact the rest of your day, that one choice, but that choice impacts your other choices that you're going to make for the rest of the day. Absolutely amazing. And I absolutely love it. Um, so yeah, that was just
I
a
love it.
quick,
That's so true. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's so fascinating. And like, I'm going to end the rant there, but I love that. So when it comes to meditation, is there any particular type of meditations that you do? What does that look like for you?
hmm I used to use the Headspace a
Hmm.
lot. It was really good. Really, it's an app.
Hmm.
Right now, like I'm just doing. It's in a way the Headspace is more like also like guided in a way. Like you're just kind of like guided by the people. Like
Hmm.
um, I kind of find it the same as when I use YouTube. I just type
Mm-hmm.
it out, guided meditation, and then
Yeah.
just do 10 or 15 minutes and just
Mm-hmm.
really get centered, and yeah.
Mhm. So you said a bit earlier on that you are from Mongolia. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When were you like when did you come to the States? What did this look like?
Okay. So yeah, I'm from Mongolia. I've been living here now. Like I moved to here like in 2013.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I was in Seattle, San
Mm-hmm.
Francisco, and LA. Now I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Orange County, Huntington Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So
that's fascinating. You said 2013, right? That is so fascinating. So the reason why I was asking that, I had a particular reason in mind, and it's because um, back, I want to say 2009 to 2012, somewhere in that range, I there wasn't a lot of talk about meditation, about yoga, about anything that had to do with the East. It wasn't very popular here in
mhm.
the U.S. It was just like I had been practicing yoga, and I would literally like lock my room, lock my door, get in my room, and like put on headphones if I'm going to listen to something and do it, and be like terrified that someone was going to walk in and find me doing yoga or meditating. It was like socially weird to do. But nowadays you look at it and it's like, oh yeah, everyone and their brother talks about meditation. Yoga is this huge thing. Um, Things have
Yeah.
changed. And that really, I think that really started between like 2013, 2015, somewhere in that range. So
Mhm.
when you came from Mongolia over here, was there much of a culture shock in that aspect? Because I imagine there was plenty of culture shock, but was there much of a culture shock when it comes to like meditation, yoga, spiritual
Mhm.
practice, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I will say I'm gonna be very honest here. At the
Mm.
time, I still didn't know what the meditation and yoga is.
I appreciate the honesty. That's fair.
Seriously,
Yeah.
like you said, I was more in like culture shock
Hmm.
and like learning English and everything else. So
Yeah.
no, that wasn't under my radar at all. Like I only get into
That's
this in
great.
2000 16 or 17.
Hmm.
That's when I started, really.
Mm, that's
But
so funny.
yeah.
That's so funny. So you said, again, I'm gonna go way back to something you said earlier. Um, that Mongolia was primarily Buddhist. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have like a Buddhist? I don't want to say spiritual because I know it's not necessarily spiritual, but like a Buddhist background coming to the U.S., or were you not? What did that look like?
What do you mean?
Were you, did you have like a Buddhist, were you more Buddhist, or was that just something, because I know the culture could be Buddhist, but you're not. So like, did you identify as Buddhist? Did you not?
I
Um,
never like to identify myself
mm,
as like Buddhist.
even,
I'm like a girl
wow.
who is like doesn't like to be in this kind of trying to fit in something that I don't feel like I
Mm,
am. I
mm,
mean, like growing up, I used to go to a temple all of the time, and my mom dragged me to go there and do something, and fine, I just have to do it because I'm a little girl. But
mhm,
I do like pray, but I never think like as in a religion per se, again, like I
mm,
said. But I think like I met a lot of people, they love like Buddhist religion. I guess it's probably more superior than any other religion.
mm,
I think that's how I look at it.
mhm,
But for me is like, again, it's like there's one God exists, and all of the religion trying to put it in a category as something else,
mhm,
and they put some rules in there and do the things and have a ritual and all of that, which there's
mm,
nothing wrong with it.
mhm, mhm.
That's how I look at it.
That's a great way to look at it. I actually,
What about you? Are you religious?
uh, I I should have known that question was coming. Yeah, we're gonna dive into this. Let's do it. Um,
I'm very curious right now.
let's, and that's why I love this. It's so unscripted. It's just we're having a conversation. This is why I love this. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So I grew up very Christian, like super Christian, right? Christian Amish homeschool, to be technical. We were actually Amish for a while, so like that is technically accurate. Like I was on all of the worship teams. I led the Bible studies. I went to all of the Bible camps, right? I did the missions trips. I actually spoke on multiple church stages, like you name it. If there was something I could do to make myself more Christian, I did it. Like that was my thing.
Wow.
Yep. Um,
I'm literally the opposite. Yeah.
that's funny. Well, so this is what happened. That's how I was growing up, right? And then I went off to in 2014. I went on this spiritual this missions trip. It's with an organization called YWAM, Youth with a Mission. Great organization, great people, learned a ton. I went over to Denver for a few months and then over to the UK for like 2 months or 3 months or something like that. Did missions through music, really great. Came back, was studying with someone to put on a conference and kind of teach what we learned to this big church of a couple thousand, and like studied with this person for about 6 months. And then we had set a date for this conference. Everything was set and we were promoting it. And about a week before the conference, I went to the person I was putting this on with and then the church leaders and said, hey, I can't in good conscience do this. I can't put on this conference. I can't teach these people. The title of the conference was, what was it? Live a life worth, something like live your best life or something. I'm like, I can't do this because I don't believe what I'm teaching. And I was just straight up teaching these Christian doctrine. And I'm like, despite just coming back from this missions trip and all this, I don't actually believe this. And that was in 2014, and it started a spiritual journey. And I had pretty much from 2014 to 2015 or 16, I was weary with the church. I was weary with Christians. And then I ended up throwing out all religion altogether. So no spirituality, nothing exists. It's like hard, pretty much atheist, agnostic, somewhere in that range. And then I realized when I did that, and I think this will be interesting with you, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, but when I did that, I spiraled as a person and I couldn't figure out why. And I realized I had so much of my identity of who I was wrapped up in that Christian ideology, that I was this Christian, I was this good kid, right? And that being a follower of Jesus was so much of who I was that when I threw that out, I didn't just throw out the religion, I threw out my identity. And I threw out the person that I identified as. And that wrecked me. Jordan Peterson, going through some of his biblical lectures, helped me kind of figure that out. And then since then, I've kind of reevaluated over the last like 3 or 4 years, and been like, okay, well, if not all religion is wrong, then maybe it was my perception of religion, or maybe it was different things about religion, right? And to take this all full circle, about 2 months ago, I went on this trip with some people that I didn't know. I showed up in Salt Lake. They paid for my ticket. These people I'd never met paid for my ticket to go to Salt Lake for the weekend. We were going to do some business conference. They wanted me to join. It was going to be sweet. And I show up.
Cool.
Oh yeah, that's a whole story that like is fantastic. But I show up and it ends up being an incredible spiritual retreat. And none of us, there's about 20 people there. Most of the people didn't know each other. We all got together. We were all open, honest, vulnerable, willing to experience whatever we were experiencing. And I came with a Christian kind of perspective, a Christian mindset. We had people there who were Wiccan. We had people there who were pagan, people there who were Mormon, people there who were Buddhist, agnostic, you name it. Someone was there. And like that was their framework. And yet we show up and we were able to have this incredible spiritual experience where we're talking chakra inner healing type of thing. We're talking prophecy or words of knowledge, however you want to say this. You name it, it happened. And it was just so fascinating because I had this like Christian perspective framework, right? For me, it was, it's not words of knowledge, it's prophecy. It's not chakra inner healing. It's like spiritual inner healing. But like everyone else had their own framework. And yet we all experienced the same thing. And that was the cool. Yeah, I can see you're getting excited. That was the coolest thing for me.
I can't wait to share. It sounds like you had this like identity crisis after when you left this. You're a Christian, right? And you're like, I don't want anything, and you had lost your identity. That's when you get like identity crisis, right? And you've got an opportunity to get on this journey of discovery. It sounds like more like a self-discovery, and where everyone's so different and different religion, but they're just so connected in a spiritual way, right? So that's what I meant to say earlier too. Like it's like all at the end of the day, it's just, in the back in the day, and it seems like the humans kind of put in the category all of the religion, and then now it's like
Mm,
spread out, right?
mm,
Versus really, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the religion itself, and it's really up to us what you want to believe. And even whatever religion you are, but you can still get connected. That's the beauty of it, right? I love that.
mm. That's fantastic. That is exactly it. That's exactly right. Man.
Mhm. But I think that sometimes I think that I want to also kind of talk about a little bit of this.
Mhm.
I met like a person who become very successful because of the religion he has, right?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
And I think now, like, because he become only successful because he believed, of that religion so much, that the fact that he read Bible and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
and now like he could not separate himself, and he
Mm,
like, and that's literally like he worship because because he becomes successful.
mm,
When I was kind of more like analyzing or maybe studying about him, like over the time, like I was kind of like asking a bunch of questions. One thing I realized that sometimes the religion is really beneficial because the religion, that the rules they have is kind of help us to also get grounded, get centered. Because bottom line is we are human. We can be wild as we can be. We can be just
so true.
so yeah, and we don't like to
Mhm.
follow rules, things like
Mhm.
that, right?
Mhm.
And the religion can help us to, like, okay, like if you just go into this route, and you will get succeeded
Mhm.
eventually. But
Mhm.
not everyone, obviously, right?
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
some people do.
For sure.
And versus like people who are atheists. And I feel like, in my opinion, nowadays, like, people are so like, people know how to use their brain to be
Mhm.
successful. So like, that's kind of how I look at it. You don't have
Mhm.
to be in trying to put in a category where you don't feel or don't relate or don't fit in, then trying to be successful. I think that man that I'm talking is like kind of little older than me, kind of old. So I think nowadays the people are so amazing. They can use their brain to be successful, right?
Mhm.
So you don't have to try to fit into something to be successful. You just use your brain to be successful. And whatever you
Mhm.
want is really there. You just get to unleash your full potential. And that's possible, and that's available to you right there.
Come on. You are so right. There's such an interesting change that's happened over the last, what, probably 20, like 2 decades, probably 20 years, where
Yeah.
like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter what organizations you belong to. It doesn't really matter what degree you have. It doesn't really matter. Like all of these things that used to be qualifiers, they don't. And now it's okay. Can you solve a problem? Can you help people? Can you serve people? And do you have like enough self-discipline to work on yourself? And if you can do that, you pretty much you can get successful, at least in some way, one way or another.
Yeah. And there are a lot of mentors and there are a lot of
Mm,
coaches that are there to help you to succeed,
mhm,
So
mhm,
that's the beauty of it. Like, you don't have to worship like something to be successful. But
mm,
if that's who they are, go
mhm,
for it. Again, there's no right or wrong in life. And it's gonna work out, right, for you.
mhm,
So you just have to find something that go up, like, just follow that. And if you're
mhm,
Christian, just go for it. I think there's a way to succeed at it. We
mhm.
just have to believe in the Christianity, right, to succeed.
Yeah,
um
that thank you, I appreciate. That's fantastic. That's really good. So I have an interesting question. I think you're going to have a unique take on this. It's going to kind of tie in some of what we've talked about, but also be way out in left field. So have you heard of people identifying their businesses? I think ClickFunnels is a really good example of this.
yeah.
Identifying their businesses almost as a cult. Like you'll say like, okay, yeah. So you say like the ClickFunnels cult, like they even in his book Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson would define it as you building your culture and the culture around your brand and how important that is. Do you
Yeah.
think people, because I know for me personally, I shared in my story, I found my identity within my religion. Do you think that people often find their identity within different brands? And do you think that's healthy, not healthy? I'm super intrigued.
Yeah, that's a really good, like, interesting question to me. You asked that. Like, I remember myself, like, when I got into this personal development, like, before I become a coach. It's called like MITT. It
Hmm.
stands for Master in Transformational Train. I don't know if you have heard. So, when I got into, it's like very much personal development and everything else. But I think there are a lot of people getting a feedback that they think this is a cult,
Mm.
and they have a lot of negative feedbacks, right?
Hmm.
So it's almost like a cult, but it's really not a cult. I think there's like a distinguish between cult and really, not cult, right?
Hmm.
I forgot like for example, like the what's the religion in people who live in Salt Lake City?
Mormon is a general.
Mormons are
Yeah.
literally, in a way, like there's no way you out, right? It seems. I mean, like,
I have no idea. I'll be honest. I have no idea. I know some of the people there are like ex-Mormon, but I don't know if the religion, Mormon religion, will actually like identify you as an ex-Mormon. I think once you're in, I think, but I'm not sure.
I don't know neither, but I
Mhm.
think what I'm like, my take on is, so, like, I don't know what exactly, like, again, like, how people identify as a cult, right?
Mhm.
um I remember there's a one person who told me, like, he's kind of overweight guy,
Mhm.
and like, I really wish somebody kind of brainwash my brain so I can lose weight. I'm like, I was literally laughing at it so bad, because
Yeah.
because
I.
for me, the way I look at it is like, well, if that is working out for you, just go for it. I don't
Mhm.
care if it's a cult, or someone is trying to brainwash you. As long as you know that you're in the control of your life,
Mhm.
you know where you're headed.
Mhm.
Because like all of the things, is the way I look at it, they're kind of tools that can help you to succeed, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But I remember myself, I used to kind of scared of being brainwashed, because it seemed
Mhm.
to be like, once you get in, like, it's very hard to get out of that, because you are. And at the end, like, how you know you're in a cult is because at the end of the day, you're not successful, you're not happy with your life.
Mhm.
um just you are in a miserable place. And my definition is like, if any tools that you're using is going to help you to succeed and help you to empower you and help you to where you want to go,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So you talk about Russell Brunson. I think I have heard that's this kind of, in a way, in a cult. It almost seemed to be, but I know him really well, but I never actually bought his program or anything like that.
Mhm.
um, but if that tools is going to help you to get where you want to go for it.
Mm.
That's how I
That's
look at it.
that's a great way to look at it. If it's going to help you, go for it. As long as you know that you're still in control and it's going to help you, go for it.
Yeah, you just have to know that
Mhm.
you're in the control of your own life.
Mm.
That everything else is going to be tool to get you where you want to go.
Mm. I
So
love that.
make sure that you're in the control in your own life, and that's the thing. That's the thing about it. Like, you make sure that you're not getting brainwashed by your brain, and like obsessed with something isn't gonna go anywhere.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
yeah, that wouldn't work for you.
Mm. Fantastic. Well, I think that's probably going to be a good point to end. We're about running out of time here. Uh,
Yes.
my friend, it has been fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's
Like,
really fun. Yeah. Thank you.